What you just saw was a demonstration of wildlife scent tracking. The dog Nasuj sniffed the scent of one of our crew members and tracked her to her precise location. On today's episode, we will look at a rather common animal, dogs, and the role they play in conservation. The domestic dog has assisted people with a multitude of practical tasks for millennia. Alongside the over 470 million dogs considered family members, many others are actively employed in applications including agriculture, combat and law enforcement, medical detection and therapy provision. Dogs are also increasingly used to help conservation partners tackle poaching, gather ecological data about imperiled and invasive species and/or their habitats, detect illegally used poisons and their animal victims, and as alternatives to lethal control of wildlife. The incorporation of dogs in conservation, according to experts, has drastically led to a reduction in poaching and trafficking cases in Kenya. Trained dogs are effective in tracking, patrolling, and detecting poaching hotspots and investigating wildlife crimes. This is Nasuj, a member of the anti-poaching team at Lewa Wildlife Conservancy. She plays a key role in protecting the black and white rhinos that call the conservancy home. But before learning more about her, we must learn about the other members of the anti-poaching team that she works with.
So good morning. As she has mentioned, in front of you is one of the anti-poaching team, Lewa. In Lewa, we have two sections of security. We have the rhino monitors or the patrol guys, whose work is to make sure that they wake up from 6 to 6. They work from 6 to 6. They make sure that they have patrolled all the blocks in Lewa. They make sure that they have seen all the rhinos, and they report the same to the operations room. In case of anything, maybe they have seen an animal that is injured, they report that to us, and we can be able to call a vet, and we can be able to go and treat that animal before our life gets threatening level. For the anti-poaching unit, as you can see, they are armed with the automatic rifles. But that does not mean that you are employed by the government. The only thing we get from the government is status, because the weapons belong to the government. But because in Kenya you are not allowed to carry a weapon unless you are Kenya police, Kenya army, or any other Kenyan official. But for us, because we have given that status, that's what allows us to carry the weapons, because we are known as National Police Reservists. And by getting that status, it can allow us to work with the communities. We can go beyond the perimeters of Lewa, to work with the community, to work with other government agencies because of that status.
And what does it take to become a member of the anti-poaching team?
Before we get a weapon, first of all, you must have to go through vetting. This is just to make sure that you have a clean name, because you are not allowed to carry a weapon if you have any criminal record. So we are first of all vetted by the Kenya police, and you get the certificate of good conduct. And when they ensure that you have a clean name, that's the time you are given the status now. So when we get the status now, we go through some trainings by the Kenya police, just to make sure that we understand about some factors, some of them about the human rights. Because in Kenya, when you are carrying a weapon, you are not allowed to use your weapon anyhow. You are only allowed to use it when your life or that of your colleague is in danger. For example, you confront armed poachers who are not willing to surrender, they are shooting at us. By that time, they are endangering our life, and that's the time we are allowed to use the weapon in accordance with the law. We must also make sure that we understand about the human rights, so as to use a very minimum force whenever we are doing our operations. The anti-poaching team, and in Lewa we have a total of 6 teams, and each team is we work in a 4-man patrol, and each team we have a commander, we have a 2IC second in charge, who takes charge to lead the team when the commander is away. We have a medic, we have a ranger, and we have a dog handler. So the medic has gone more advanced training in first aid, but all of us are first aiders. Everybody is a trained first aider, but the medic has undergone more training in first aid. Yeah, I also work in the team. I'm a handler. We handle Nasuji with Joseph. So on the Canine unit, we have a total of 2 dogs, different species. We have a pure bloodhound, and we have another mix, Doberman and Bloodhound mix. Nasuji here is a Doberman and Bloodhound mix.
Bloodhounds are large, substantial dogs standing between 58 to 68.5 centimeters and weighing from 36 to 50 kilograms. Their most famous features are long and wrinkled face with loose skin, huge drooping ears, and warm, deep-set eyes that complete an expression of solemn dignity. Coat colors can be black and tan, liver and tan, or red. Powerful legs allow bloodhounds to scent over miles of punishing terrain. Often called a nose with a dog attached, the bloodhound is known for its outstanding ability to read terrain with its nose, primarily due to a large ultra-sensitive set of scent membranes that allows the dog to distinguish smells at least 1,000 times better than humans. Researchers have estimated that a bloodhound's nose consists of approximately 230 million olfactory cells or scent receptors, 40 times the number in humans. Whereas our olfactory center is about the size of a postage stamp, a dog's can be as large as a handkerchief.
And the reason why we mix is that bloodhounds are very pure trackers, very good trackers. And the reason why we introduce mix is because when we deploy to the northern areas, the NRT conservancies, it's too hot for the bloodhounds. They struggle very much to track because bloodhounds are heavy dogs. And by introducing a mix, a Doberman and Bloodhound mix, we still retain the capability of good tracking, and we get dogs which are strong and they can be able to track for long distances. So that's the reason why we mix.
So how do they identify and recruit the perfect dog for the job?
So for the process of identifying the good tracking dog, when the dogs are very young, you identify what the dog likes, and you start associating that with the training. For example, some dogs like toys, others like food. For example, Nasuji likes food, and when she is small, you lay about even 200 meters, have about 50 meters for her, and you hide the food there. And when she tracks and you get the reward at the end of track, she bears in mind that when I track, I will be rewarded. So for them, it's like a game. Yeah. So when you identify what she likes, you start now associating that with the training. So for today, you give her 200 meters, tomorrow 500 meters as you advance. And the basic training takes about 3 months because you have to bring more dogs and you will select the best. So you will select the best. And the other training takes like the rest of their life because we have to train them on a daily basis. Because they are working dogs and we don't want them to forget what they do. So every day we send guys to go and hide, and we track with Nasuji and Ruby because we must keep up the level of tracking.
This training enables the dog unit to play a critical role when dealing with security incidents such as stock theft, road banditry, robberies, poaching incidents and incursions. They also train for specific scenarios such as night and helicopter tracking, as well as canine first aid, nutrition and care. The endangered animals in the conservation are not the only ones that benefit from the canine unit.
Yeah, as I have said, our dogs are purely tracker dogs, and what they track is human scent. So human scent is given as small human particles droppings from the body. They are very microscopic, we can't see them. But because dogs have a very wonderful nose, they have a very many receptors in their nose. They have millions. and that's what they are able to track. And whenever we deploy the community areas, because we assist in many incidences like house breakages, road banditry, and any other petty crimes in the community. And whenever we go to the community areas, we do that free of charge. We don't charge them anything. And we know by doing that, they'll pay us back by giving us information. For example, they might hear something bad being planned about LEWA or any other organization with wildlife. They are always ready to tell us on time, and we can be able to intercept before anything happens. Yeah, we build trust with the community. Yes. We work closely with them. We work closely with any other government agencies, because we want to build trust with the surrounding communities. Yes. Because we want them to see the benefits of conservation. We want them to see the tangible benefits of conservation, like giving them free security, giving their children bursaries to school, and by doing that, they get trust.
We'll be back right after this break.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Kilimo Diaries is not your one-stop show. We are always on the move to different farms, and it's always unpredictable, with animals, crops, and advice from both farmers and experts. We are always here to inform you on everything agriculture, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on your home of untold stories.
Ask you a question. What do you love? Is it chocolate? Is it ice cream? Is it cake? Or is it flowers? My favorite thing is chocolate and some flowers, and also Kids on the Block. What is your favorite color?
Red.
Catch us every Saturday at 9 a.m. Bye, kids.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. When a bloodhound sniffs a scent article, a piece of clothing or item touched only by the subject, air rushes through its nasal cavity and chemical vapors or odors lodge in the mucus and bombard the dog's scent receptors. Chemical signals are then sent to the olfactory bulb, the part of the brain that analyzes smells, and an odor image is created. For the dog, this image is far more detailed than a photograph is for a human. Using the odor image as a reference, the bloodhound is able to locate a subject's trail, which is made up of a chemical cocktail of scents including breath, sweet vapor, and skin rafts. Once the bloodhound identifies the trail, it will not divert its attention despite being assailed by a multitude of other odors. Only when the dog finds the source of the scent or reaches the end of the trail will it relent. So potent is the drive to track, bloodhounds have been known to stick to a trail for more than 200 kilometers. To set the dog on the correct trail, a suspect's scent is gathered on fresh gaze, be it from a footprint, a piece of clothing, or even an object that has been handled. The handler takes care not to contaminate the gaze with their own scent by reading the wind direction and using a plastic glove. After holding the gaze to the dog's nose for a few seconds, he signals that the hunt is on. These dogs love nothing more than following a trail. Earlier on, we showed you a demonstration of how Nasuj, a key member of the anti-poaching unit, tracks the human scent. Now, we'll get to dive deeper into the various methods they use to track scents.
Various method of giving the dog the scent. The first method is called casting method, whereby when you turn to the scene of crime, you allow the dog to cast by itself, and it will pick the freshest scent. So when we turn to the scene of crime, we must ensure that we see the tracks coming in and going out of the scene. And when you see those tracks going out of the scene, that's what you use to give the dog. So you'll place the harness on the ground. Because when the dog is on normal walk, we use the lead, but when she's tracking, you put on the harness. It's like a trigger to the dog to next walking time. So when you turn to the scene, you put the harness on the ground, the dog will cast, and again it will pick the scent from there. Another method is called picking method, whereby you play a sterile goose on the ground, it will absorb the scent, and that's what you give to the dog.
And in what situations are the various tracking methods used?
So this is what we call the sterile goose swab. And this is what sometimes we use we use this one mostly in towns, in crowded places, because we want to pick the exact scent that is in the place we want to track. So you must make sure that you have worn gloves so that you cannot contaminate the scene. And when you open this thing, you get the goose there, and that's what you open and place on the ground, and it will absorb that scent, and you give it to the dog. We can as well carry this thing, in case the dog forgets the scent, you can remind us. So this is what you can, when you place one on the ground, they will absorb that scent, and then you'll give it to the dog. But you must make sure that you have worn some gloves so that you cannot contaminate your scene with the scent with yours. It's hard because it's a lot of crowd and it's a lot of scent, so we must make sure that we pick the exact scent on the scene. This is why we use this one. But in places like in Lewa or any other in bush areas where there's no crowd, we use the casting method. Whenever we go in patrols, we must make sure that we go with the dogs, and the community as well understand that our dogs are tracker dogs. So by that, we can reduce the intention of them coming inside. Yes. So by doing that, it's like helping the animals, because when the people see us walking with the dogs, they will not come in, because if they get in, they'll be tracked. So it's like a threat to them to show that we are there. Okay. So they get a lot of fear, and they will not come to trespass and maybe endanger the wildlife.
The anti-poaching dogs work extremely hard their whole life. However, as they age, they tend to slow down, and the dog unit retires them. So what happens to them after they retire?
When our dogs get old, we usually retire them at the age of 9 to 10 years. And when we retire them, we must make sure that they go and retire in a good home. Because when somebody wants to keep them as pets after their retirement, we must ensure that he'll go to retire in a good home, because they have done a lot of good work for us. So whenever we retire them, they must retire in a nice place.
And what are some of the challenges that the dog unit faces?
yes, sometimes we go through some challenges, like when we go to the community area, some of them, sometimes they tend to not to do what we tell them, because whenever we go there, we tell them don't tamper with the scene. But sometimes we can go and get the scene that has been tampered with, and we will not do much to arrest the wrong person. So sometimes we will track and arrest the wrong person who have not conducted that incident. So that's some of the challenges we get, but we try to teach the community that whenever something happens, please let us be the first people on the ground, because we don't want to mess up and arrest the wrong person.
These dogs are famous across the region, and as a result of their successes, crime has dropped in the surrounding communities. Despite their ultimate anti-poaching role, the dogs are scrambled to assist with various crime investigations in the surrounding areas. The unit also works closely with the Northern Rangelands Trust that facilitates community conservancies well into northern Kenya. With poaching and cattle rustling common problems blighting these areas, these bloodhounds have been used to track down suspects and stolen cattle. In the end, these incredible dogs, their specialist human handlers, and the Lewa security team fulfill numerous roles, be it anti-poaching, general law enforcement, community-supported conservation, and even as a tourist attraction. Their presence remains an important reminder of the power of cooperation between species. That is it for today's episode of TV47 Wildlife. Catch us again next Friday, same time, same place.